the one NWSL regular season fixture that took place this weekend, because there was one. We had New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC versus North Carolina Courage. This was technically match day 3 between these two sides. This was a makeup game that finally was played here in September, because this match was originally scheduled to be played May 14th. Believe this was supposed to be Gotham FC's home opener, but unfortunately, this match was postponed due to COVID-19 protocols. Both teams at the time had a slew of players impacted by COVID-19 and were unable to participate. So the clubs in the league made the decision to sort of postpone this one. So two different teams in two completely different areas of the season. We're talking about May to September, just a lot of different energy around this match, Lisa. And we talked a little bit about that during the preview. We're like, what are we even going to see from this match? How can things shake out? I was torn about it. I was like, I don't know. This might actually have the makings of a draw. Who knows
Yeah.
what type of soccer we're going to see in this game. But I believe, if memory serves me correct, we both went with Courage in this one.
We did. We both went with North Carolina, but you were very, very much on the bubble of a draw. And honestly, watching this match, I was like, this is going to be a draw because neither team could break through.
No, you're right. I did have those feelings when I was watching it. I was just like, I believe at one point, just sort of watching it and reacting in real time, I was like, oh man, this is really a little bit of a grinder. We'll just call it that. I don't know if I would call it necessarily a slugfest, because it's not a match that it wasn't necessarily like super chippy or choppy or physical by those means. It just sort of had, I think when I was reacting to it live, I was like, geez, I'm like, this has the energy of like Sunday Scaries and a midweek match all rolled
on
into
a holiday
one game.
weekend. On a holiday weekend when this game shouldn't have been played over international break, when there was
players
so many players missing.
No, I hear you. I think it's one of those games where we saw, a definite, a first half that just was really like, let's sort of feel each other out, go back and forth. Let's try to get, let's try to like sort of establish tempo, but then it wasn't really established. And then we finally saw some things pick up a little bit in the second half. Perhaps, maybe that can be attributed to the fact that, there were substitutions that were made, and maybe you're rotating players out and you're getting, different looks or, different type of energy on the pitch. But it did for 80 minutes. For 80 minutes, this game looked as if it was headed towards a 0-0 draw. It had that written all over this game. But that changed in the 81st minute. Fuga Nagano just going ahead and getting this goal, getting the lone goal in this match, the breakthrough. And I think that maybe sort of tells you a little bit all about this match, that it took until the 81st minute to get not only the winner, but the actual breakthrough goal in this one. And I think I gotta say, like, watching it happen in real time, Lisa, I was like, God, this is like just, it's agonizing at this point,
yes.
for Gotham. At first it was like, okay, we're heading towards not a loss energy here for Gotham, but it ends up folding out that way for them.
And the fact that yes, North Carolina ended up getting this goal in the 81st minute. Nagano still credited with it. It's not an own goal, even though it was deflected.
At first, I think people were like, maybe it's going to be an own goal, but
no, the way, for anyone like questioning that, the way an own goal works is if the initial shot is not directed towards the goal, and then the ball gets redeflected and it changes direction to now be on goal, then it's an own goal. But this shot was going for the corner. It was going to be in. So it's not an own goal. So that's great for Nagano, right? That she gets accredited with the goal. Huge for them. But you just mentioned it. Gotham suffering their 8th straight loss. They're struggling right now. They suffered with really bad giveaways. They could not build out of the back. They were struggling to connect and build. Ali Krieger was playing higher up in the 6, but with Gotham without Ifeoma Manu up top, she's playing with Nigeria right now. Margaret Purse and Christy Mewis away with the U.S. Victoria Pickett got her first start with this Gotham side in the midfield. I think she had a fantastic game. I love Taylor Smith in the outside back
Oh my
role.
gosh.
I do. This is, I know, I think we talked about it last week when Gotham played, and she was a defender for so many years. And then she got switched around into that front line, playing a little bit there with North Carolina, and then with Gotham when she initially got picked up by the New Jersey, New York team. And now Hugh Menzies slotting her into that back line. She plays so similarly to Sophia Huerta and Emily Fox, and just attacking that flank, having a nose for goal and a nose for crosses to get into their attacking end. And I love Taylor Smith in that outside back position. She does such a good job.
I think it's one of these things right now where you're just, it's towards the end of the season. You're a last place team at this point. You had tried to, avoid that for a certain period of time, but with
Such
the
a
loss,
bright spot for them.
with the losses piling up, this is where they are now finding themselves in the table. And I think at this point, with an interim head coach, it's maybe just about trying,
Totally.
some different things, and maybe that was something where it's like they recognize a player like Smith is giving them a lot of great things in practices and trainings, and doing a lot of good work for the team, during in-game scenarios. How are they going to figure out a way to try to keep some of these types of players all together on the pitch at the same time? And sometimes that means moving and rotating some pieces around. And seeing Smith, in this one, kind of go from top line, back line. It's not a position that she's unfamiliar with, but either. She's no stranger to playing up high, and she's no stranger to playing low. But I do wonder if this is, maybe something where we're going to see, a position where we're going to see her at for throughout the duration of a remainder of their
I would say,
Gotham's season. If it is about trying to get your best 11 players on the pitch, again, trying to move some things around. And then you have, you're thinking about when players like Anamanu or Purse or Mewis, come on back and rejoin the team. Like, how do you get all of these players together? And maybe was just like a preview of that, of what we could see out of Menzies and his coaching staff moving forward. I think even if this game ends in a draw, Lisa, you're talking about an extra point. You're talking about maybe you're talking about maybe like, okay, like here's a step. Right, here's
it's not the 8th straight loss for Gotham then at that point.
Right, 13 overall on the season.
It's like that losing streak for sure. And Gotham GM Yale Averbush West putting out a bit of thoughts on Twitter after this match, actually saying that, assuring everyone that we are not okay with this. We don't want to be at the bottom of the table. Have faith in our future that we're building here. The GM is working with the ownership, is working with the investors to really enhance their on-field identity to match the rebrand that this club went through a year and a half ago. And she appreciates the patience of the fans and the players and the staff, because they're building and they want to be the best, and they're not happy with where they are right now. And I was like pretty impressed with that statement from a GM of a NWSL club. We don't usually hear that. Usually the GMs are a little bit more passive in their criticism of their club that they're the general manager of. But in terms of North Carolina, this is their 3rd win in 4 games. Diana Ordonez listed as questionable heading into this match, but she got significant minutes. Caitlin Rowland, North Carolina goalkeeper, who stepped in for Casey Murphy, huge. Fantastic night for her. 5 saves throughout this game. Michelle Betos had 3, but I think the best one was the Gotham chance on Victoria Pickett, Kawasumi chipping a little cross in, and Pickett getting a great contact on a header, zipping it towards the net, and Rowland just huge. That was the best thing. And then the pressure from North Carolina, that's how they got their goal. It was a high press. Gotham couldn't clear it, and it fell to Nagano at the top of the box, deflected, and really went in. Also, Tess Bodie, shout out to her. Great game, very impressive, getting shots and opportunities for North Carolina. That's the good thing about international windows. It allows other players, Nicole Baxter getting her 2nd NWSL start with Gotham, Tess Bodie really stepping up, Caitlin Rowland. It gives these other players a chance to really show themselves.
I think if nothing else comes out of this game for Gotham. They got to tinker around, with players and sort of see what they're going to be getting out of these players for the remainder of their season. Um, and then we got to hear from Oliver Bush West, after the game via Twitter, just sort of talking about those things. And it's tough. And we're starting to see those positions, those types of roles, former players in those roles specifically. And it's not easy. Like we've heard her say that as well this season, going from player to that administrative level. Like you see things differently when you're in those positions, and change is not as quick as people want it to be. It's actually it's a much longer process, and it's a much different way of doing things. So it was not for nothing. It was very cool to sort of see her take the time to want to make some public statements like that. That the team are trying to work towards something bigger than maybe what the end result might be in this regular season. So we'll see what's next for Gotham FC and North Carolina coming out of this weekend. Before we close out, we just want to say huge congratulations to the Mexican women's senior national team, Copa Angelina, the first edition of this match between the Mexican women's senior national team and Angel City. Mexico taking this one, Lisa. They win 2-0. So a lot of excitement on this match, and I think it delivered. Quite frankly, it was very, very cool to be able to watch the game, on TUDN, and be able to sort of see the Spanish language broadcast of that. A lot of excitement in the stands, a lot of excitement in the crowd. Made me excited.
It was almost like a home game for Mexico.
I think that's a little bit of the point, right? It's like, hopefully this will be the catalyst to some other cooler and better things for not just Angel City, but also Mexico's, women's national team. We see in their men's program, sort of the elevated, hype around their team, particularly in the United States. There's always that running joke that that's America's favorite soccer team.
Yeah.
And we see this team constantly playing across, stadiums in the United States. Maybe this is that next first step for the Mexican women's national team, for them to also be included in the Mexican Federation's plans for, having games across the United States. You got to have that first one, I think, to sort of set the tone. And then hopefully in the future, there will be more. We do know there will be one more iteration of Copa Angelina, but this one for now, they got to take home that really cool trophy. And
this is great. This is great. Yeah. I mean, the fact that this was such a success for Mexico, scoreless at the half, and then they end up notching two. One of them actually an own goal.
Yeah.
So double own goals potentially this weekend in like NWSL teams that were competing, but Mexico ends up getting the insurance goal just moments later, and that was like fantastic to see. But they go home with the trophy.
Talking about shout outs, like let's Scarlett Camberos getting that one film. We gotta hit the plug again. Look, when the Women's Cup happened, a lot of people out here maybe got introduced to somebody like Scarlett Camberos for the first time with Club America, and we were really amped to see that she got called into these national team camps because of the interview that we had with her on Attacking Third, where she talked about some of her personal goals was getting back into the mix with the Mexican women's national team. So her sort of getting that go-ahead goal, kind of securing the victory for Mexico's national team here. Really, really cool time.
It definitely is so fun to see, and potentially like more of a home game for Mexico than it was Angel City. But we did get to see a little bit of player rotation from Freya Coombs' side. We saw the first appearance from Ma Vignola, who with Angel City has been dealing with a bit of an injury. So really positives to come out of both of these sides in the future to come for this little matchup that we have.
Yeah, we'll see how Angel City kind of rolls out from this. We saw them come out of that exhibition game against Tigres Femenil, and they kind of came out with a little bit of swagger coming out of that, and they've been kind of hovering right around that playoff position. They're still on the outside looking in, but they really are looking to make that leap. Maybe something like this, with the experience that they just had, will help propel them into that upper half of the table. But we'll see. Again, another thing that we'll have to keep an eye on for next week, and we will be back, quite frankly, to talk about all things NWSL and more.